and a very warm welcome to this special from 98 for 5 to 338 for 7. It was a day that belonged yet again to the incredibly talented Rishabh Pant. What an incredible innings from him. When he came in, conditions were overcast. India had lost their top order. The ball was seaming around. James Anderson was bowling beautifully, but in comes Rishabh Pant without a care in the world, walked in casually, or at least that's what it seemed like, and then counter-attacked so beautifully that by the end of the day, England didn't know what hit them. That's how the day ended for India in Edgbaston in the final test. I have with me Ashok Malhotra, former Indian cricketer, who joins me to look ahead and also look back on what was an incredible day. Also joining me is someone who witnessed it live. The very lucky Santosh Suri joins us from Edgbaston. He was right there. He watched that wonderful innings. And our data guy, Nikhil Narayan, is here with me. We'll talk about Rishabh Pant. We'll also talk about the perfect support he got in Ravindra Jadeja. But the day itself, Ashok sir, starting from 98 for 5, you felt like, my gosh, India are going to be out for less than, 150. But in comes Rishabh Pant, changes it all. India would be very happy with the way the day went.
Absolutely. 98 to 5 from 330 for 7. It's unbelievable, to say the least. But then you are not out till Rishabh. If you look at over a period of last 2-3 years, it is Rishabh who always wins, be it Australia, be it England, be it anywhere. And look at his 500. 4 has been scored in the Sena country. So which is unbelievable. And always those knocks are when chips are down. The greatest thing for Rishabh is that he counterattacks. He does not care. He bats the way he wants to bat. He wants to express himself. His intent is very, very positive. And that is a very, very, I would say, a good judgment of the game. He has his own methods. They say the method is madness. Yes. So definitely it is sometimes defies cricketing logic, but then he scores runs. And he scores runs by tons. And he takes the game away. I mean, it was 98 for 5. Who would have thought where India is now? Now England is looking down the barrel of the gun, if I may say, the kind of bowling India has. So he has given us a chance, and it was unbelievable. He took them apart, everybody. He did not pick up one bowler. I know a special treat for Leach, but otherwise also. Yeah. He was phenomenal, and it was one of, if I may dare say, I've been around for 30, 40 years, I've seen cricket, one of the greatest test knocks, especially when chips were down.
Okay, one of the greatest test knocks, and there was one gentleman here who was watching it. What was that like, Santosh sir, just watching him live? We were sitting here and wondering how he does that. How does one go down the wicket to James Anderson, especially with the way he's been bowling in all-time great conditions are suiting, English bowling. Everything was going against India, and just the way he counter-attacked.
Absolutely. Like Ashok ji said, I think it is one of the greatest counter-attacking innings we have seen in recent times. The best thing about Rishabh Pant is he is not afraid of going for the attack. He plays the strokes which he is convinced that will fetch him runs, maybe orthodox, maybe unconventional. So it was a great mix of conventional and unconventional batting. Probably when we were learning cricket, that time our coaches would have, thrown us out of the stadium if we had tried some of the strokes that Pant had attempted. So you see how cricket has changed because of the white ball cricket, and that has been influenced in Test cricket also. And we see the unconventional type of strokes players today are willing to play. So that has really thrown the English bowling attack out of gear. You are correct. His intention was when he stepped out and he hit Anderson, to long on for that boundary. From there on, it was just the attacking method that he adopted. Of course, he was judicious. He also played some very good drives, and one particular flick of his pads was fantastic, beating the two fielders on the boundary. So you can't say that there is no method in his madness, and by his counter-attacking method, he has put India in such a place where they can hope to dominate. This morning it has rained a bit, and I think with India bowling today, and there are 2-3 showers predicted, we can also get on top by bowling well against this English batting attack.
Okay, so I've got to ask you this, sir, before I go any further. What is the weather like at the moment? Can we get the usual start? Is the weather okay now?
Yeah, it is overcast. Just now it is cloudy, and it had rained an hour ago or so, so they are getting the pitch in order. But there are a couple of showers forecast in the afternoon, so I presume we'll have same type of stop, start type of day, and probably. But I know this cricketers, they are quite professional. They are not ruffled by the changes that come through weather and all. So I think it could be an interesting day despite rain threats.
Okay, but when we started on day one, Nikhil, it was all doom and gloom. It was dark, floodlights were on, ball was seaming around. James Anderson just, bending his back, showing why he's so good, along with Matthew Potts, Stuart Broad. Everything that could go wrong, that one thought could go wrong with India and India's top order, middle order, it went wrong.
Absolutely, Maya. The first session and a quarter belonged to England. James Anderson was absolutely, at his lethal best. The ball wasn't swinging much, and he realized that early. So he started using the wobble seam, and then, picking up those 2 wickets in his, first 7 overs, ending with 3 for 52 in 19 overs. Also very restrictive, not giving anything away. Getting rid of Iyer, that was also a very special planned dismissal. He got rid of Iyer, and then they looked back to the dressing room. So I think Brendan McCullum had something to do with it. Shreyas Iyer had a problem with the short pitch delivery against fast bowlers in the IPL, and he aimed it at his rib cage. He was caught down the leg side. So that was also a planned dismissal. So James Anderson, absolutely brilliant. And then Matthew Potts, his first spell was absolutely line and length, very accurate, getting the 2 big wickets of Vihari and Potts, and showing very early in his career, his 12 of his 16 wickets have been of the top 6 opposition batsmen, that he picks quality batsmen. So Anderson and Potts had, done everything, Ben Stokes would have asked them for after he put India in 98 for 5. But then, as the sun came out, Rishabh, Pant and Jadeja took the match away.
Absolutely. And how brilliant was that innings? We'll also talk about Ravindra Jadeja and the importance of his innings as well, sir. But just taking off from what Santosh sir was saying, Ashok sir, I spoke to Chandrakant Pandit a few days back, and one of the things he said is that kids today are very different from how he was when he was playing cricket. He said, he remembered that when he scored 300 for school and went back, Ramakant Achakar slapped him saying, "Why did you throw your wicket away?" Because that's what he did. It was getting towards the end of the day, he got out. He says today with the players, players who scored hundreds in the final of the Ranji Trophy, Yash Dubey and Shubham Sharma, he says they send back messages through the person who's carrying the drinks to me saying that, "Sir, main maar sakta hu bahar, main maru kya?" So you're now looking at a generation that wants to play this kind of cricket. Something that Ravi Shastri said yesterday to the host broadcaster. He said, last year when he was, of course, the coach at that time, he said, I told Rishabh Pant that I was getting bored of the way he was throwing it all away. He said, so he needs to do something different. And he says, why don't you try reverse scooping, the bowlers? He said, instantly his eyes lit up. Suddenly you felt like he wanted, and which is what you see with Rishabh Pant, because there is method to his madness. And I know this is not the first and the last time we'll be discussing him because of what he's done already. 4 of his hundreds, like you're saying, and against the best bowling attacks in the world. It's not, just anybody. He's hit Kagiso Rabada like that, Mitchell Starc like that, Pat Cummins like that, James Anderson like that. Yeah. It's one of the great unsolved mysteries. None of us will ever know what he's doing, but somehow he's scoring runs and beautifully.
Absolutely, Meha, actually, he's going to be a great test cricket because he reminds me a bit of Virendra Sehwag because he has his own methods. You know, he was a different. He was not run-of-the-mill test player, and neither is Rishabh Pant. He plays his brand of cricket, and especially in test matches cricket, when there are fielders around the bat, there are four slips, there are a lot of gaps. And when these kind of guys, when they go after the bowling, and they have the power, and they go after the bowling, and then they play their brand of cricket, and then it kind of the captain is always in doubt what to do with them. Does he attack? Does he go on the defensive? Because these guys are, somebody like Sehwag or Rishabh are there aggressive, positive. And they take the bowlers on. So it is the bowlers like somebody like Jimmy Anderson, probably maybe once or twice in his entire career has been hit over his head for 4, or a reverse swept for a 4. So the bowler will have to do some rethinking. That is why I'm saying Rishabh Pant is probably going to be a great test cricketer with his brand of cricket. But it's still a work in progress where it comes to 2020 cricket, because he has been found wanting. Because he can play across the line through leg side, but when you keep bowling him outside the off stump, because field is widely spread out in one-day cricket. So that is when you either clear the field or you get out. And that is where the problem will come for Rishabh Pant. He's still, as I said, he is going to be a great test cricketer. But when it comes to one-day cricket, he'll have to rebuild himself. So probably it's a work in progress. But I have got no doubt in my mind. Yeah. He's a phenomenal player. I'm sure he'll find a way.
Absolutely. Now, just the way he got to his 100, Santosh, so you were watching it live. I mean, for a second, all of us were like, oh my gosh, please do not get out. But that also sums up the innings that he played, because yes, in the beginning, undoubtedly, he played percentage shots. You knew he was being defensive. He was also running quick singles, trying to rotate the strike. But, just when the sun came out, he seemed set. He completely turned it over on, in just the way he started batting.
Yeah, you are very true. There is a famous journalist sitting next to me, Ashish Ray. People must be knowing him. When he was trying to hit those shots, he would tell you, oh, bloody hell, what is he doing? He should be patient. He's a person who has grown up watching Sunil Gavaskar and Vishwanath and all. I said, don't worry, sir, he plays like this only. He doesn't know any other game. So as he started hitting and all, and he knew that that's his game and he's getting on top of them. And then again, when he was close to century and Leach came on to bowl, and again he said he should be careful, he shouldn't throw his wicket. Then I told him, sir, he's going to hit 4s and 6s and get to his century. And that's exactly what he did. So you see how the generation has, seen such a difference, how Test cricket is played. Probably we were more used to watching all these things in one-day cricket. Now the same type of attacking cricket has come into, Test cricket also, especially in this, what we call the home cricket here. And you see great fast bowlers being hit over the head and being reverse swept and, uppercut, lower cut, you say any stroke is, fair these days.
Yeah.
So it was a great inning to watch.
Tell me one thing, Santosh sir. When Paul Collingwood said that, Rishabh Pant came out playing a bit of baseball, weren't you tempted to tell him, sir, you've only adopted this a month back. He's been doing it for some time now.
Actually, they were gracious enough to accept that that's the way he plays. He's a world-class batsman, and he does come up with world-class performances. Yeah. They did say. And they said that, of course, we have taken to recently this attacking type of cricket, but they said we are overall seeing a scenario where, attacking cricket has become norm in Test cricket, and that is a very good sign for the future of Test cricket. No more it is a dark, type of game that used to play. I remember Gavaskar used to say that you wait for, give half an hour to the bowler in the beginning, then play for lunch, play for dinner, and by the end of the day, you are just 120 runs the whole day. Here probably Pant scores around 120 in one session here. So that's the type of cricket now we are going to see over the next decade or so.
Absolutely. And 338 is the most runs that India have ever scored in England on the first day of a test match. I mean, this is something that is, India's never done that. And if you go by what, what Ashok sir was saying, that if Pujara were batting, we'd still be 150 for 1 by the end of the day. But that is the difference. That is the kind of match-changing innings that we've seen Rishabh Pant play in the past, and he did it yet again, Nikhil. Though the struggle for Cheteshwar Pujara and Virat Kohli continues, yet again not being able to score big runs. Virat Kohli under pressure, and we saw that same expression as he got out. A lot of people said, you know, unlucky and all of that, but at the end of the day, he was late in leaving that ball, and hence, you know, got out. But the smile that he had, you know, almost like this look like, oh my God, the luck is not with me. But it's more than that. He's just not being able to find runs.
Absolutely. You know, when one thing goes wrong, everything goes wrong, and this is happening with Virat Kohli for 3 years now. I mean, look at the numbers for Virat Kohli and Pujara. I mean, they're averaging in their mid-20s. Their failure rates are around 50%. Very, very high for top-class batsmen. Still, India is winning more test matches, winning series abroad, and that's courtesy the performances of Rohit, Rahul, Rishabh, and Jadeja with the bat. Kohli and Pujara haven't contributed at all to India's wins overseas. I mean, Pujara to an extent, some support acts, but Kohli, since that Bangladesh 100, he's going down in Test cricket, and he's going down fast. And he's got into a rut, and I don't know how Virat Kohli will come out of that rut. I mean, it's very, very difficult. He got a 50 at the Oval in the last Test. That was a good knock, but apart from that, there's not much to show for Virat Kohli in Test cricket, and he and Pujara are actually now putting enormous pressure on the likes of Rishabh Pant and Jadeja, and Pant and Jadeja cannot produce this sort of a partnership in every second Test. So India has to, now look for options. Pujara is actually making a comeback after a good county stint. So there are other batsmen waiting in the line. So I don't know, what happens, even if India wins this Test match, what the future holds for Pujara and for Virat Kohli.
Ashok sir, you want to come in on this, the future for Pujara and Virat Kohli?
See, Nikhil has put the nail on the head. You can't keep failing for 3 years. I understand, because when the going gets tough gets going. That is my thinking. And I have never seen a tougher cricketer than Virat Kohli. But he's under tremendous pressure. And now he doesn't know. He's either looking at the sky or he's got a very wry smile when he gets out, because it is not fair what is happening to me. But that is cricket for you. When it comes after you, then you don't know what to do. And how to get out of this run. He has been in this run for a very, very long time. And not to forget, Cheteshwar Pujara, as Nikhil very rightly said, if you look at last 2-3 years, it's the late order which has bailed us out, not the top order. So you can imagine Shardul Thakur, Hanma Vihari, Ravi Chandran Ashwin, the whole lot of the heroes you will get. But the top order has failed to provide, and the main reason is because Virat has stopped firing, because we were so dependent on Virat. And now somewhere along the line, he also knows he's under tremendous pressure. He knows his neck is on the line. I would say the selectors don't seem to be in his favor. Maybe the management doesn't seem to his favor. Even if I may stick my neck out and say maybe BCCI does not seem to be in his favor too. So somewhere along the line, the only way to bail himself out is to put runs. And maybe it is time for new generation next coming in. And if I may add one more word, Neha, is that people like Rishabh Pant have kept Test cricket alive. You need entertainers like Rishabh Pant. Like we always needed entertainers like Virender Sehwag, who scored 300 in a day. So we needed these entertainers which has kept this cricket alive, because now nobody has time to see the brand of cricket which Cheteshwar Pujara gives or puts on the table. Because people are in a hurry, they want to see some entertaining cricket, and that is where Rishabh Pant comes to the party. And
yes,
as I said before, they kept Test cricket alive, they will keep Test cricket alive.
Okay. These are the visuals that are coming from outside the stadium. This is in Edgbaston. You can see crowds coming in to possibly see a Jadeja 100 right away. And the weather seems to be fine. These are live visuals coming in from Edgbaston. And a lot of people on the weekend coming to enjoy a good game of cricket. But Santosh sir, Virat Kohli, and the conversation will continue at least till he gets his 100. I think nobody is going to stop talking about it. This is something now that has gone on for too long. But it's not just Test cricket as well. As we go into, towards the end, you know that there is a T20 World Cup that is coming up as well. With this kind of performance, not just in Tests, IPL and T20Is as well, it'll be difficult for Virat Kohli to retain his place.
Yeah, absolutely. Now this is the crucial phase of his career now. I remember Sunil Gavaskar, before the end of his career, had gone into a great rut, especially in 1983 World Cup. But he was such a personality that he had to be in the 11. Probably the only match he was dropped, we lost that match. So he was kept despite, not scoring runs, as he was, I don't know if he was considered a lucky charm in 1983. So same way, I think Rishabh, Virat Kohli will be given a bit of a long run to see that whether he can regain his, lost form. Since he's a class A, the talent is always there. And we have been hearing for a long time now that he's just one inning away from, getting back into his run-scoring habits. But we're still waiting for that one inning, and that one inning is really stretching it. So how long the selectors are going to tolerate him, that probably the BCCI and the team management and the selectors have to decide. But on his, I think, side, he has to ensure that he has to get into the run scoring habit very soon. Otherwise, time may run out for him.
Okay, absolutely. Okay, now let's also talk about the other man who played a wonderful knock, but somehow was overshadowed. We know when Rishabh Pant plays like the way he plays, the other person at the other end will always get overshadowed. But Ravindra Jadeja and his knock, how important is that, Nikhil? Given that Ravindra Jadeja himself, all that happened with captaincy, with CSK, leaving the IPL team midway, we're still not sure about whether there was really an injury or he just needed a break. But for him to come good here, I mean, this would mean a lot to him. This would, soothe the pain that he must have felt since the IPL, and it just then augurs well for Indian team as well.
Absolutely, a very timely performance by Jadeja Meya. Especially what had transpired in the IPL. So Jadeja needed to answer his critics, and he did that in style. He played the ideal foil for Rishabh Pant. 83 or 163 balls, strike rate of 50, doesn't matter. He was the ideal support act for Rishabh Pant at the other end. And if you see Jadeja's numbers, since that oval knock in September 2018, since that oval knock almost 4 years back, he's averaging almost 50 with the bat, in Test cricket. It's only second after Rohit Sharma for India, and he is an all-rounder. He's not a pure batsman. So Jadeja has been very, very crucial for India in the lower order. Often comes when the top order has failed and chips in with such contributions such as Birmingham. Absolutely brilliant with the bat, great temperament, great team man, and that's why Jadeja is in the 11th, maybe even over an R. Ashwin, who might just be a better sort of spinner, even in Sena post 2018. But, this contribution with the bat, and that is why Jadeja is perhaps in the 11 over an R. Ashwin.
Okay, for all of you wondering what are the visuals playing on the side, those are visuals from outside the stadium. And Ashok sir, हमारे ये ढोल वाले हर जगह पहुँचते हैं, and they create a mahal which we love as well. And you can see those visuals outside. There are a group of people performing Bhangra, Indian spectators as well there. Wonderful to watch these. Wonderful to watch these scenes. Also wonderful, given that till some time back we didn't have crowds in the stadium. So this means a lot to every sports fan, Ashok sir. This is something that players have spoken about as well. Playing in empty stadiums and then to have crowds, fans that you play cricket for. These are wonderful scenes.
Absolutely, and it motivates. When the fans are in the ground, when there is the noise from the stand, that motivates you. And even the Bhangra group there, they will motivate them, believe you me. They are a spectacle. And anyway, it must be surprising the Englishmen because now they have started this brand of cricket. So they are also waiting to be entertained by their own side also. But before that, they've been entertained by the Indian culture, the Bhangra, and the people out there. Look at the atmosphere on the ground. It must be mind blowing to say the least. I would give my left arm to be there out there now because the kind of atmosphere it is, and I'm sure all the players must be very very pleased with this. And definitely, it's going to be a game on kind of a thing. It is a game which can England play their brand of cricket, the new brand of cricket, because they are up against some quality bowling, which is not going to be that easy. And when you talk about Jadeja, I mean, he's been underrated, as Nikhil very rightly said. Scoring with the average of 50 runs, you can imagine. He's got 2 triple hundreds in domestic cricket. Yeah. So you can imagine his come of age, his batting has come of age, and now he's clicking at international level. And we know what he can do on a turning track. I know on a flat track, maybe not as effective, but on a turning track, he's very, very lethal. So I would say he's a plus man, not to forget his fielding, which is probably the best in the world. So definitely he's a plus man. And as Nikhil very rightly said, we might have criticized Ashwin not being there. We'll have to wait and watch how the 4th day turns out to be, whether the ball starts spinning or turning. Then we might be missing Ashwin, because I don't know how useful Shardul or Siraj are going to be. But definitely Jadeja is a plus player, and he was ideal for it. Yes.
Absolutely. Okay, also let's talk about now England's approach. What will that be like today? Yesterday we saw, Santosh sir, England attacking 4 slips, 5 slips at times. Jack Leach didn't get a long on. When he finally did, it didn't matter really. What will England's approach be like today, given that, they'll also find themselves in this sticky position where their approach has worked in the 3 test matches that they played against New Zealand. So they haven't had anybody counter-attack like the way Rishabh Pant did. And so when something like that happens, when you're trying to adopt something new, do you keep sticking to it even when your plans don't work out? Because so far they've always worked out, but in this test match we saw they didn't. What do they do then?
Absolutely. Their mantra right now is attack, and attack to the extreme. And probably that benefited batsmen. They were, like you were saying, for the left-arm spinner, they had no long on, long off, and that gave him enough, opportunity to hit the ball over them. And by the time they put the long on, Pant was well into his batting, and it didn't matter because the balls were going on the side screen. So that's the way. Sometimes your counter-attacking can backfire, and we have to see that this attacking method is going to work against the Indian bowlers or not. I think within a few hours we'll come to know whether the success they found against the New Zealand bowlers, will they continue to carry it further, or will the Indian bowlers, who are much better, much sharper, and have much more experience, will they be able to tackle that Indian attack with their counter-attacking tactics? That we'll know in a little bit. And as for Ravindra Jadeja, of the last 2-3 years, he has totally changed, both mentally and the way he approaches the game. So much discipline he has showed, leaving the ball outside the off stump and playing percentage shots. Probably, not seen for a lower order batsman or an all-rounder, bowling all-rounder. So it's a very, very welcome sign for India that Jadeja has, after all got using his talent to score runs and, prop up the innings at the fag end. And that's the advantage we have right now. If we can take the total closer to 400, India will surely have, runs to put the England team under pressure.
Okay. So let's then talk about what we can expect on day 2, Ashok sir. What will India look to do in the first session?
I think first and foremost, Jadeja is still there, batting on the England. If the tail can bag a bit, because everybody can chip it, like Shami can bat a bit, if they can support him. And if they can add another 20, 30, 40 runs, so then sky's the limit. Then, because once you get 30, 40 more on the board, the momentum will shift towards India. Anyway, it has shifted towards India. And that is when the fast bowlers come in. They'll be coming in with the tails up, with the aggressive mode, and they will go after the English attack. And we know the English top order is very, very friendly, to say the least. Be it Crawley, be it Lees, they have not been able to stitch a partnership for quite a while. So I think the first and foremost will be attack, pick up early wickets, and try to get onto Joe Root and Bairstow as quickly as possible. And then if you can pick Joe Root, then you've taken the life out of England team. Because I don't care, I don't want to know what Bairstow has done or not done. Because if I am the coach or captain, I'll go after the top order and Joe Root. And then rest, everything will fall in place.
I remember Virat Kohli saying this, we'll give them 60 overs of hell. You remember that, Nikhil? This was last summer. And why I'm bringing this up is because of the bowling that we've seen with India in the last couple of years. I mean, it's the bowling really that has gotten us out of sticky situations. If it wasn't Ravichandran Ashwin, Rishabh Pant, Hanuma Vihari and the others in the lower middle order, lower order. But Jasprit Bumrah and his role, we've seen him do this in the past. Can he do it now in this test match? It's important, along with Mohammad Shami and Siraj.
Absolutely, very important test match for Bumrah because he's also the captain. Also, lately, Maya, we discussed this in earlier shows, Bumrah sort of went down across formats in his wicket-taking propensity with the new ball. And this time, it is very important for Jasprit Bumrah to pick wickets with the new ball for India. Siraj is not in the best of forms we saw in the IPL. So for me, actually, the number one most threatening Indian bowler will be Mohammad Shami. Mohammad Shami will be India's, for me at least, the most threatening bowler on day 2. If India can restrict them to below 250 and get around 400, I think anything above, I know England have gone down 250 plus chases, but anything above 250 in the 4th innings will not be easy for England. India have a better bowling unit, according to me, than New Zealand, and it will not be easy for England to chase down more than 250 in the 4th innings, although they've done it thrice in the series against New Zealand. So Mohammad Shami is the key for me with the new ball for India.
Okay, just the last question, Santosh sir. Just looking at the conditions, do you still feel Ashwin should have been part of this team?
Yeah, that's the hot debate. And of course, there are two theories. One says that you pick your best 5 bowlers irrespective of the conditions. And the other thing is you study the conditions and pick probably 4 pace bowlers and 1 spinner. So probably the team management has gone for the latter. But it is really very, very sad and disappointing for Ashwin, who was again last year on all the 4 matches, he was sitting on the bench. And the same has continued this year also. That time we were blaming Virat and Shastri. But this management also has taken the same, stand that we should go in with only 1 spinner. So act has fallen on Ashwin. And interestingly, yesterday, Ravi Shastri on Sky TV was saying that we had Ashwin on our plans all the time, but whenever the match was starting, there was a cloud cover and we had to, take that hard decision of putting him out. So it's really, really very unlucky for one of our great spinners to be, be treated like this. Yeah. And now that he's not even in white ball cricket team, he'll be flying off, twice in 2 years from England without having played any cricket.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember, I heard the same thing yesterday with Ravi Shastri saying that he was in the 12 and every time we thought of putting him in, we'd see the cloud cover and we'd have to say no. And he was heartbroken by it. But yeah, yes, this is how things stand at the moment. But Ravindra Jadeja with the bat showing how important a role he's played and how important is he for this team. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. Ashok Malhotra, Santosh Suri, Nikhil Narayan. That's it then on this special. We're looking forward to day 2. What can we expect today? Can India get to 400? Can Ravindra Jadeja get to his 100? Can India, run through the English top order, Indian bowling? What about Joe Root and Johnny Bairstow? Will they be out quickly? All these questions we'd give answers to tomorrow. Join us at the same time. Today, that's it on this special. Hope we get a good game of cricket. For now, goodbye. Thanks for watching.